Did you know that 85% of people worldwide are actively disengaged or just going through the motions at work? What's even crazier is that it's normalised, expected almost. I spent over a decade going through the motions in my career, and it's only now that I have the benefit of hindsight that I realised just how crazy that was, how many years of my life I wasted being unfulfilled in my career. And the thing is, I wasn't lazy. Unmotivated, yes, but lazy, no. I had great ambitions. I was just directing them all the wrong way. Fortunately, I woke up. And I gradually started to create a life for myself that I love, using all of that ambition and drive. And when you point it in the right direction, it gets exciting again and you get your motivation back. In this video, I'm going to share with you the exact strategy that I used to navigate my way out of that career. And by the end of this video, you will have the actionable steps that you can take to start the ball rolling in your own journey. As a bonus, I'm going to share with you additional prompts that I wish someone would have given to me. Do you remember that crazy statistic I shared with you at the start of the video, that 85% of people worldwide are disengaged at work? Well, almost half of them, 47%, delay making a change in their careers because they don't know what to do next. I estimate that that's billions of people that have that problem. The biggest mistake that they're making is waiting for clarity before they take action. It's only the people that demonstrate a bias to action that tend to make the changes needed. My dad refers to this as talkers and doers. In other words, people who get stuck only talking and thinking about change, while others take action and make it happen. They're the doers. But I know what you're thinking. If I don't know what to do next, how can I take action? And if I don't take action, how will I get clarity on what to do next? Well, that's exactly the problem that I'm going to solve for you in this video. Let's get into the exact 5-step strategy that I used when I was in that predicament. I've actually got my old journal here. I dug it out especially for this video because it contains my lists of pros and cons and wacky ideas. I've even written at the top here, am I crazy? I don't know if you can see that. At the time, I didn't realise that what I thought was just crazy ideas was actually the blueprint to genuine success and happiness. And remember this if you ever start to feel the same way. So let's have a look at step 1. The first thing you're going to do is the joy inventory. Before I tell you what that is, I've created a workbook that you can download for free to follow along with this if you like, or you can do it in your own time. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. I want you to make a list of everything you enjoy doing. And don't just go for the obvious things either, like going out for a meal or anything entertainment related in general. You want to pick out the things and the processes that you enjoy day to day. Times where things flow. Maybe even you lose track of time. I have included some extra prompts on the worksheet to help you out with this, and I'll share with you my list. It would have been more detailed if I'd had these prompts to follow along, to be fair, so forgive me for that, but you have to remember I was navigating this alone, whereas you guys, you've got me, you lucky things. So here's my list. It's dancing, writing, nutrition, health and natural remedies, natural organic living, psychology, spirituality, books and travelling, kind of just a general list. And I could have gone even deeper with this, to be fair. One good prompt that I really think is useful is, what podcasts do you listen to? That one is a really good insight on what interests you. And write it all down. Include everything in your list. It doesn't matter how random it is, just get it down on paper. The next step is the strengths spotlight. I want you to make a list of all the things that you're good at, all of your strengths. And I'm not going to lie, I struggled with this one. Here's my list. I have planning and organising, and that's it. I had never done anything outside of my career in finance, and so I came up against a bit of a brick wall. And I think that many people struggle to recognise their own strengths, or we often dismiss them or undervalue them. But I can help you break through that brick wall for your list because I have got some strategic prompts in that worksheet for you. Think back to what you're doing when you get in the flow. This will likely be a strength. I always get into the flow when I'm writing or when I'm talking about a subject that I'm passionate about. So if I was doing my list again now, I would therefore write writing as a strength, as well as my interest in human behaviour, for example, as that's one subject that I get into the flow in when discussing. The next step is the never again list. And this time, I want you to make a list of all of the things that you don't enjoy and that you wouldn't want to do. This is all about defining your boundaries and your non-negotiables. And you can include things here that you know that you definitely wouldn't want to do. For example, I've never worked shifts, but I knew that shift work wasn't something I ever wanted to do. And this is my list. We've got retail, finance, because I was in finance, care work and shift work. Again, a short list, but if you do use the worksheet, I have got some additional prompts on there to help you along. And think about the tasks that you dread doing and other industry sectors that you would want to steer clear of. Would you want to avoid working with people in general or children specifically? There's no judgment. You have to get over the judgment and just be honest with yourself. We're all destined to be drawn to certain things. And so by definition, that means that we'll be repelled by certain things as well. The next step is the liberation versus security balance sheet. And this is a great one for putting things into perspective. I often use this method standalone, actually, if I want to get a clearer idea of what my intuition is trying to tell me. This is basically a pros and cons list about making a change. So I want you to list the pros of making changes and the cons of making changes. I'll show you my list, pros and cons of leaving my finance career. So I've got pros, I will be happier. I can explore more opportunities. I can do something that actually helps people. It feels exciting. And then for cons, I've got money, stability, social status, and I would have to sell the house. Now, I recommend having a minimum of 4 in each column, more if possible. You'll already be feeling a pull towards one of the columns, a bias if you like, and this is the clearest way to hear your intuition. I think you can see from my list that I had a bias towards the pros. There are only one-word answers on the con list, for example. And let me ask you this as well. If your list belonged to your best friend and you were looking over it for them, what feedback would you give them on that list? Hopefully that helps you look at it in a slightly different way as well. The next step is to start connecting the dots on your lists. Start to turn them into ideas. Perhaps your joy inventory included mentoring others, and your strength spotlight might have included that you're good at explaining complex ideas to others. Connecting those dots could lead to ideas around teaching or coaching or just creating educational content in general. Even if you've never done any of those things professionally before, it doesn't matter. At this stage, it's all about possibilities and ideas. The ideas that I came up with from my list were to create a blog, or to create and write for a blog on spirituality and books. And that ticked off quite a few things off my list. And it turned out to be the catalyst that opened the door to a lot of other opportunities for me as well. So that was a good idea that I got from doing this exercise. Another idea I came up with was dance teaching. I used to teach dancing when I was younger, so I was relying heavily on past experience for this one. But I wanted to do dance courses that I could sell online. So to basically teach people to dance for events like weddings or something like that. And although I didn't end up doing that, dancing is still very much just a hobby, not a career. It certainly got me thinking outside of the box. I was onto something as well with having the online presence, because that is obviously something that I've gone into. So these don't have to be ideas that necessarily that anything will come of as such. It's all just about thinking outside the box. What insights have your lists given you? Let me know down below in the comments. I want to know about any connections that you can make. And if you're unsure on the connections, I'll do my best to help you. I'll reply to your comments. The joy inventory should give you some ideas you could develop into opportunities. The Strength Spotlight should contain things that you can link to those opportunities in order to expand them. Then the Never Again list will give you a clear idea of what you don't want, the things that you won't compromise on. The Liberation versus Security balance sheet will put you back in touch with your intuition and will show you what you have a bias towards. And then connecting the dots and making the connections is where you can get creative. What you do with this information is now completely down to you. We're back to that bias to action that you need to have. Don't feel like you need to commit to a complete career overhaul immediately, though. Start small. Can you volunteer your skills? Can you take a class? Can you shadow someone that already works within the field that you're interested in? This is about testing and refining your direction. If you haven't already, go ahead and grab the free guide that's linked below, which includes bonus prompts, and I've included an extra exercise as well to take your insights even further. The next question that I want to ask you is, do you have a bias to action? If the answer is yes, then I recommend that you watch this video next for inspiration. I share 15 things that I wish that I knew before I left my career in finance.